Welcome to another new series. This time we talk about Yu-Gi-Oh cards we need, and it's just specific cards. It's not an entire archetype or support for an archetype or whatnot. This time it's just cards we just need, in my honest opinion. And this first episode focuses on never revealed card, but what do I mean by that? There's a cards there were cards in the anime or manga. I only watched the anime, so I don't really know if the manga has something like that. Where we are shown certain monsters or cards are mentioned or they are partly shown, maybe. I don't know. But we don't know anything besides that, and those cards haven't been printed. Let's say like that. So Konami in the past few years decided to actually print those never ever meant to be shown cards, so to speak. Like you see on the right you see Chloris, Chaos King of the Dark World. This card is just recently being released, but if you are GX fan, you might have heard this card's name before. And it's because it was intended to be summoned in a duel against Jaden by that one mad Dark World player who specifically tried to create super polymerization, and if super polymerization would have been completed, which needed a human sacrifices, but it just wasn't enough at the time. Colress would have been summoned by super polymerization. And that was the entire build-up of this card, but it never happened. It was too weak, to the point that the player decided to use the cards that's supposed to create super polymerization to just summon Rainbow, Overlord of the Dark World, which is one of its fusion materials. And another example is Cosmic Blazer Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, my apologies. The card was mentioned by Zone, who was looking at data of user, and in the future, some point, one of user's card he managed to summon through over Exo Synchro would have been Cosmic Blazer Dragon. We barely saw what it would have been looked like, but we didn't know its effect, we didn't know its attack, we didn't see the full artwork until many years later. So we have Cosmic Blazer Dragon, which is an alternative over Exo Synchro to Quasar Dragon. So which cards didn't we see or should have actually become cards? There's one card I think that breaks the rule of my list. I just realized that, but we will get to that. And one of the cards I already made a video about, which is just Earthbound Immortal Red Nova. The mightiest Earthbound Immortal apparently, and the rival for Crimson Dragon. We got Crimson Dragon, which never meant to be a card, I think, but it's nice that Konami decided to print that after its evil counterpart became a Synchro monster. So I think Earthbound Immortal to serve their counterpart. I've been thinking what this effect could be. I never really figured it out, but maybe, just maybe once per turn, let me just theory craft for and make just a suggestion. So Earthbound Immortals are trash, as they are now, even with the new support they've gotten over the years. Just if you have a field, this doesn't die to when you don't have a field spell. Should be the effect. you can only control one, but there's a way they can just bypass its effect because it should probably be the leader of the Earthbound Immortals. If you have a field spell, once per turn, this card's name does not include Earthbound Immortal, but if you do until that applies until the end phase, you can just summon any Earthbound Immortal from your deck or graveyard or hand until the end phase, and then it is destroyed or whatnot. That way you can get to use every Earthbound Immortal and the useful effects, I feel. It would be small suggestions, which would be a nice contrast to Crimson Dragon, who does a similar thing. Then we have Fire Dragon, which just appeared in the intro of GX and was probably the counterpart to Water Dragon. Bastion had like a deck for every attribute. Those were just prototype decks of his. And one of his decks was Water Dragon, and we know how Water Dragon works. But we don't know how Fire Dragon works. Maybe it can use similar chemical type of cards, but it's a anti-water monster, which would be kind of boring. Can it be maybe a boost to burn cards? Fire decks have been getting a lot of support lately, and maybe Fire Dragon could just be the card that can now benefit from all the support. I don't know what it would do, but it better be a good counterpart. We can get a two-headed Fire Dragon as well, dual-head Fire Dragon, and maybe less restrictive than Water Dragon. The next card, another GX monster. We are going really GX, and on this is Super Fusion God, which supposed to have been summoned by Yubel with Super Polymerization and J Material. This is 12 Material Fusion monster, which uses a monster from every level. I think this card can be printed today. I think it would be interesting. Yubel has been getting a lot of support lately, and I think why not bring Super Fusion God as a major Yubel tech? Does Yubel have a monster for every level? I don't know, but it would be a nice way to kinda make something unique out of it. This originally supposed to merge all 12 dimensions into one dimension. I don't know how you can apply this to a card effect. Probably because you will use it should be a better effect than what Yubel itself has to offer. And by Yubel I mean the final form Yubel. Or actually every form of Yubel, because I think the final form might not be the best one. And last but not least, we have everyone's classic. Maybe it has been forgotten at this point, and it breaks the rule of the list. Is Mammoth Graveyard fused with Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which appeared in Duel Monsters once. I still can't wrap my head out of why this card has not been turned into reality yet. It did appear in a duel, but it kind of didn't. I don't know how to describe it. It appeared in a duel, but it was never printed to a card, which does kind of break my list because it was actually summoned. But we don't know anything about this card besides it getting weaker and weaker. I have been wondering how could this card actually work in a real duel. Maybe it's a mean to give you a maybe it can work like Nibiron, maybe, where you just replace every monster opponent that controls with a fusion spell or whatnot, and it just gives them like a 4,500 attack monsters that It's the only thing that can attack me. And it gets weaker and weaker and cannot be used as material for another monster. And who knows? It's kinda hard to think about how you can make a card that you give your opponent without them benefiting from it. Yeah, I don't think something like Lava Golem would be beneficial. I don't think this card really wants the fusion materials it had in the anime. But it would be nice. Because this card didn't have a real name, it's just Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon fused with Mammoth Graveyard. It was not Blue Eyes Mammoth Graveyard, Ultimate Mammoth Graveyard Dragon, or anything. And with this, I think we completed the video. Why is this a dinosaur anyways? It's in the anime it was an undead monster, which are zombies. But in real Yu-Gi-Oh! They just turned it into a dinosaur. So those are the 4 cards that came to my mind. Let's repeat, like Earthbound Immortal Red Nova. To boost, you do 2 things. You give the final Earthbound Immortal an anime exclusive card, and it could be Earthbound Immortal support. Fire Dragon, Fire Monsters are really getting a lot of support lately. It looks pretty nice. Burn effects could get a buff. Burn can be fun, but not like chain burn or anything. That's terrible. Maybe can get a fun burn fire deck that's worth playing. I think Volcanic is the closest thing we have. Ultimate Fusion God could be well support. I'm just making a suggestion, but it could be just a generic power boss monster. We have gotten Cosmic Blazer Dragon, we got Rainbow's Fusion Colorless. He really likes the art. Look, I can't even tell what's going on in this. It doesn't look like any Dark World monster we have seen so far, but I guess it makes sense. It's a Chaos King after all. And with this I end my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have suggestions, maybe you can come up with good effects for these cards, and we will see each other next time.